Rosby Duart, favorite Marvel character? I love the question. Thor. By far, Thor was my favorite as a kid. I loved reading growing up, reading Greek mythology, Norse mythology. I thought it was cool and it was just fascinating to me. And then when I saw there's a comic book about Thor, there was an issue, and this is going to be nerdy, but it was the 80s. I don't remember who the artist, DeFalco maybe or somebody, but or Ron Friends, I don't know. Anyway, is like a 3-issue series where Thor found himself, as Marvel does, just found himself floating in space from whatever happened in the previous thing. He got teleported somewhere or something. And Thor ends up landing on this planet. And he lands on the planet unconscious, and then he wakes up, and then the people there are like, oh, where did you come from, golden haired one or whatever. And so then it turns out that this planet, I'm trying to think how to unpack this in a way that's not super nerdy, but it's also interesting. This planet is corrupt, and it's ruled by like corrupt warlords, and it's evil. It's just everything bad about like what we think of modern society. Corrupt government, starving masses, police putting down riots by people who just want food and all that stuff. Anyway, and so what happens then is the people are freaking out because they take Thor and they're like, this guy just arrived. It's a celestial. And so there's a celestial has arrived on the planet. If you know any Marvel stuff, there's a celestial, I think his name is Arisham, and he's sent to judge a planet. And the celestial is standing there with a thumbs down, and he's like 2,000 feet tall. And so it's like this omen, like you have been judged and found wanting. So Thor is enlisted. They're like, we're going to die. None of our weapons work. The celestial covers the planet with like this thing that wraps around it, so no spaceships can get out. And I mean, and so they enlist Thor to like save us, fight the celestial. And so then the big celestial arrives, like who's even bigger, who's going to destroy the planet. And so the whole, like, it's like 2 or 3 issues, but Thor actually like fights a celestial, and he's able to like penetrate the armor and get inside the celestial. And then inside it's like this whole ecosystem. It finally gets to the brain of the celestial, and he uses all of his strength, and he's like fighting against all these odds. His hammer Mjolnir gets destroyed, and he's still fighting with just like the handle. And it's like the most epic. Just as a kid, I was on the edge of my seat, and that was back when you had to wait a month for every issue. So you would just reread that issue over and over until the next one came out. And so, I mean, the spoiler alert, it's like a 40-year-old comic, but the celestial, what ends up happening is Thor gives all he can, and he can't even put a dent in the thing. And the celestial ends up, the judgment happens, like Judgment Day. And that's the name of that issue, Judgment Day. And the planet is judged, and you see these people, these mothers, and they're holding their babies and they're cowering, and the judgment's coming, and there's these touching scenes of the moms like holding the little one, like just holding it tight. It's kind of like what it would have been like at Pompeii when Vesuvius erupted and they found these people like clutching each other dead. So that's what you think. You think Thor lost. You think that the planet's going to be destroyed and all these innocent people are going to die. And the warlords to the end are trying to like push past the people and get off the planet, and even shooting their own people to get away. And then the judgment happens. And when the mother holding their baby looks up after the judgment, and the whole planet is transformed to like this Edenic thing, and all of the bad, the warlords and the pirates and the gangsters and all those people are done. They're obliterated. They've been taken away. And the ones that have been left behind are the people who suffered under them. They're vindicated. The suffering righteous are left behind on a renewed earth, not earth, but a renewed planet. And the celestial then, like Thor is like, they kind of like put him back to normal, and they put his hammer back together magically, and he realizes, he's like, oh, this is what the judgment was. And it's, at the time, I'm like 8 years old when I'm reading this, but looking back now, and I have it on the shelf across from me, it is one of my favorite depictions in all of pop culture of biblical eschatology. So whenever people get on to me, because like I have a Thor T-shirt that I'll wear in some reviews, or I've got Thor, and they're like, "Oh, he's a pagan god." I'm like, if Paul can see the gospel in the tomb or the monument to the unknown God at Mars Hill, an 8-year-old kid can see eschatological truth in a Thor comic from the 1980s. So check out that Thor series. It's collected in the Epic edition in the War of the Gods. I think that's the volume. But that little it's like 3 or 4 issues, Judgment Day, and he fights the Celestials. It's so good. That's by far the nerdiest answer to any Q&A we've done. Rosby Duart, Adam Warlock. It's sitting right there on my shelf, still wrapped. I just got the Warlock Omnibus edition. And after I get done with Thing, I'm going to read that one next. Because Adam Warlock is another. He'd be up there with Thor. Thor, Silver Surfer, Adam Warlock. And then I love the Thing. Just Ben Grimm is a great character in the Fantastic Four. The only Jewish superhero, or at least at the time. Yeah, that'd be my answer. Okay.